My name is Andrew Frazier, and I'm excited to once again, Tuesday evening at 8 p.m., welcome you to Leadership Live at 8:05, where we're going to be talking small business. My co-host, Art Jones, is here, and he's also going to moderate the conversation. And tonight's topic is recognizing new trends in business, because given what's going on in the business environment, the crisis, there's a lot of changes happening. And as a business owner, you have to be able to recognize these new trends to figure out how they're going to affect you and use that information to know how to make the best decisions for your business. So we're excited to have our guest, Gene Bohensky, as well. And we're going to have a great conversation. I'm going to turn it over to Art so he can introduce us and get us started.
Well, welcome everybody, and welcome Facebook family. My name is Art Jones. As Andrew said, I'm the founder of The Art of Standing Out, where we use marketing and sales to help you accomplish more in your business. The theme tonight is one that we've had over and over again during the course of this series, where we talk about your network is your net worth, right? Because making the kind of decisions that Andrew described just now, here in this era of pandemic, era of unrest in many areas, area of volatility, chaos, and ambiguity in all of our lives that are affecting all of our businesses and the people that we serve, now's the time to pay attention. Now's the time to listen to what's happening to your customers so you can react and thrive during this incredible time, not just survive it. Our host, Andrew Frazier, needs really no introduction. He's a leader extraordinaire, whether it was at MIT as undergrad, whether it was on board ship as an officer in the Navy, or at NYU, learning more about finance so he could build a business in service to you and me to help us leave a legacy for the people that we've built our businesses to serve. That's Andrew Frazier. I call him leader extraordinaire, and I think I'm not exaggerating when I say that, because he's served hundreds of people to help them in their businesses. And our guest tonight, Gene Bohensky, is very similar to Andrew, a serial entrepreneur that's going to share his vast experiences, what he knows about being a business owner. He knows where the alligators are in the swamp, if you will, to help you avoid those same alligators. And, you know, without further ado, Gene, tell us more about your journey as an entrepreneur and the work that you do today.
Well, first I got started in my career as an engineer. I wound up in technical sales, selling a range of technical products internationally. I got a taste for small business shortly afterwards by becoming a part owner in a small manufacturing business. That's where I really saw the difference between small businesses and large businesses. I mean, the way to illustrate it is one time I told the business owner, look, my window is broken. And he looked at me funny. He said, go fix it. And really, that's what a small business owner is like, right? You got to fix it. After that, I started my own luxury chocolate business called Rose City Chocolates. I worked on that for about 8 years, and I sold it successfully. In fact, that business still exists. And that experience really taught me a lot about being a business owner. After that, I went back into corporate for a number of years, and I really felt something was missing. I didn't really understand it at the time. And when I was looking for a career change, I actually found the TAB franchise, the Alternative Board. And as I was going through understanding about business coaching and what the Alternative Board does for business owners, it really connected me to my previous business owner experience, particularly in selling my business, because that was such an emotional event. This was able to connect all of the experience that I had up until that time.
That's interesting. And Gene, could you expand on the Alternative Board? Sounds like an interesting title, but drill down a little bit and tell our audience exactly the value that you're offering business owners today through the Alternative Board?
Well, what the Alternative Board does is it's an organization for private business owners, and it brings a wide range of business owners from non-competing businesses to form a peer advisory group that consists of those members. And what it does is it combines the peer advice of the business owners with the expertise of the business coach. The business owners get to meet with the coach once a month, and then once a month there's a 4-hour board meeting where everybody gets together and they share their issues and challenges together in an open forum, facilitated by me, who's the tab owner. And one of the things that does for business owners is they get an unprecedented amount of experience that they would otherwise not have. And to your point that your net worth is your network, through these difficult times, through the crisis that we're in, it's those other business owners that really provided the help and advice and support for each other on the board. And it was really amazing to witness a lot of these business owners sort out their issues with the strength and confidence of each other.
That's really fascinating. I know that the theme for tonight is to look at COVID as one of the elements that's creating all the volatility, uncertainty, and chaos in the world today, and really affecting business owners in some industries more than others. Can you talk a little bit about how the Alternative Board and the cohort of people sitting around the table for that 4-hour meeting have helped each other during these times of COVID-19?
Well, they've helped each other in many ways. All the businesses, as you know, everyone is affected by COVID in different ways. So it's talking through how the trends and how the challenges that they're facing, how they can be helped, how to look for other avenues, how to pivot. One of the first things we did for everyone is make sure everyone got their loans, right? They got their PPP loans and their EIDL loans, to make sure that they understood what they could use the money for, what they couldn't use the money for, to help them decide, should I use this to invest? Should I use this for safety? Should I use it to support my business? Do I even have a business? Some of them were able to make some decisions very quickly based upon some of the advice on the board. They were able to pivot in new areas, consider new areas. Not everyone took the advice, but it was interesting to see how that worked out for a lot of the members. That's one in particular. Their company was able to pivot away from having to rent the facility to be able to license their model. And they were able to save a lot of money and cut costs and become profitable in a short period of time.
Fascinating. When I hear you speak, Gene, it's in many ways like listening to Andrew when he presents and talks about business owners and when they accept the responsibility to lead their business, the commitment they have to make to building a cohort of people around them that will tell them the truth. When they have a question, they get answers, and they're not answers that are patronizing. They're answers that are sometimes maybe not what that business owner wants to hear. Andrew, can you talk a little bit about your experience with that kind of, with the businesses you work with as a coach, and how you help them build the same kind of cohort of people that Gene has built within the frame of TAB? You're doing it in the frame of Small Business Pro. Talk about that a bit, would you?
Okay, no, definitely. I think at the end of the day, part of being successful as a business owner is making good business decisions. And the only way to make good business decisions is having good business information. And the best way to learn is from other business owners. Like iron sharpens iron. So, not only do I have my own personal board and personal network of people that I collaborate with, and we don't always agree on things, You're a part of it. We have plenty of debates. Gene as well. I got friend David Green and other people that, you just have to have people that will tell you the truth, and have to have people that understand what being a business owner and entrepreneurship's about, because if they don't, their perspective's not going to be able to be helpful. So building that around you, that's a big reason why I started the Power Breakfast, because we needed an ecosystem. A lot of business owners, especially urban business owners, weren't members of chambers, really were on their own. And, the Power Breakfast and other activities help bring them together to get to know each other, but also introduce them to other organizations that can help them as business owners that they were missing out on. So, definitely every business owner should be connected with other business owners.
Is there a particular, this is a question for both of you, and I'll go to you first, Andrew. When assessing someone that you think would make a good board member, an advisor, a mentor, is there a filter that you, or things or questions that you would ask that person before you embrace them as part of your cohort of leadership?
I would say it's not specific questions. Mm-hmm. One thing is, I would assess to make sure that they know more than me about something. Because it doesn't help if, they can't add anything to the conversation that you don't know. So that they're knowledgeable, that they're trustworthy, because you're going to talk about things that you don't want everybody else to know.
Integrity.
So, and that, I like to collaborate. They have to be collaborative and be willing to help other people. If they're just in it for themselves, it's not really why I'm doing this. And, I spend my energy and time to really advance business owners beyond where they otherwise would have been able to be. So that's really what it's about. That's what this show is about as well. So, I'll turn it over to Gene, but, definitely want to recognize we have some people on. Thanks again, Tim. You're joining us once again. Craig, Gerardo, definitely we appreciate you coming on. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the Facebook Live comments, and, we can incorporate them into the show. But I'll turn it over to Gene, because
I think to echo Andrew's comments, I think business owners not only have to be willing to share, but they have to be willing to learn. They have to have that humility to know that there's something for them to learn to move forward. And really the ones that do, you could see this from the TAB members that I've worked with. They've made tremendous strides, not only in their businesses, but also as human beings, right? Because there's so much that they have to learn from each other. We call it a purposeful diversity on the board of people, different industries, non-competing industries, and a lot of times the best advice comes from people that are outside of your industry. That's probably the biggest surprise that people have when they join TAB, is that they can learn really good, or get really good business advice from people outside of their industry. And that's where the cross-pollination occurs. Because let's say you're an IT specialist, there's a lot of groups just for IT specialists that they can grow, and they can learn from each other. But sometimes you get the most interesting approaches outside of your industry. So I think that's another thing that surprises most people. It certainly surprised me. How does an IT specialist help a contractor or help a lawyer, right? So you get this in the board meetings, and that what's important to note then is that for a business owner to build out their own network is to build their own diversity of people. Not just your accountant. A lot of business owners only use their accountant as a person they go to advice for. In my experience during this COVID times, a lot of the accountants provided some of my business owners really poor advice. And so I thought it was really important that people get a wider array of advice for themselves. Make sure you're in contact with a lawyer. Make sure you know other people outside of your industries and get to know them deeper. Get to know them to the point where they can say, hey, you're not doing the right thing. You should consider this, right?
Well, Gene, talk about this a little bit, because if we use the graphic that's behind you with a boardroom table, and there's 8 people around that boardroom
right.
table. As a tab owner and a coach, you have to have an awareness of, if I'm joining your tab and you're going to put me around one of those tables, how do you assess my value to the other 7 people? You know, because you're kind of curating the diversity.
Right.
If corporations have a diverse leadership team and a diverse culture, they're more creative, innovative, and they are more profitable. And you have a responsibility as a tab owner, and Andrew has a responsibility as a Power Breakfast curator of bringing people together so they leverage that diversity to get the creativity and innovation. And so can you talk a little bit about that curation process and what you look for when you're making decisions on who sits around the table?
Well, first of all, I look for business owners with some experience. So the ones that work best for as tab members are people that have been in business for 10 or 15 years. They have some complexity in their businesses. That means they have employees, they might have rent, they might have some challenges in their personal life and in their business life, and they want to learn. I think those are the things that really make any kind of business owner good for tab. To that end, we'd like to have the boards to have a diversity of men, women, different people from different backgrounds. That's really the best thing. You have a manufacturer, an accountant, a retail store owner, a very diverse group of businesses on there. In addition to having those core qualities of having somewhat of a complex business. We really have 3 actually different type of boards. So one is an entrepreneurial board. Those are for the smaller businesses, the solopreneurs that are getting started and kind of feeling their way, not sure of their message or what to really say or do in their business. Then we have what's called the President's Board. Those are for people who are really owner-operators with a team of people, but they mostly report to them. And then you have a CEO board. Those are boards for business owners that already have a management team. And so they're not in the business every day. They're just managing their managers. And those are kind of like, I see the 3 phases of business growth. Not everyone goes from phase 1 to 2 to 3. And so a lot of times what we do in TAB, a lot of the topics around the board meetings is how do I get from phase 2 to 3? How do I hire a management team? How do I trust people? How do I build processes? How do I take my business from just everyone reporting to me and me telling them what to do to really building a business that can run without me, right? That's really the core thing of how TAB helps. And there's 1,000 things that people have to go through during that process.
It's interesting that you say that, Gene, and it leads to a question I have for Andrew. I think, Andrew, was it today that you were participating or presenting at a meeting where you were talking about working in your business, working versus working on your business?
Actually, that's tomorrow at noon.
Okay.
But I was working on my presentation for that tomorrow. So, but yeah, definitely at the end of the day, that's your goal. And most business owners don't know how to do that and may not even be equipped to do that. And that's really my role, Gene's role. Any coach or consultant should be guiding their business owners along that path of going from working in their business to going to working on their business to even from there being able to work on the future of your business. So,
Right.
Like you said, the first part, you're developing your leadership team. When you're working on your business, working on the future, you have your leadership team and you're leading them to build the business for the future. And, it's not an easy path. There's a lot of things that you have to learn, and the business can only go as far as the business owner is prepared to take it. So unless they develop their skills, learn, get educated, get trained, get help, it's not going to happen. And even with that, it's not going to be easy.
And the key there is really to get help. I mean, I don't think if you really talk to business owners that have made it through that process, they've all had somebody to help them. I don't think anyone can do it without a coach or a mentor. Maybe that's something that's not well understood. But anybody who has really, really broken that barrier has not done it alone. They've had people help them. Coaches, consultants, mentors. Sometimes they have a number of them in their path. But the willingness to learn, right? The willingness to change and to learn is critical for us, certainly for us as coaches, because we say, is the person coachable, right? There's people who aren't coachable, who think they know everything and don't need help. And the sad thing is you'll meet them 5 years later and they'll be in the exact same place they were 5 years ago.
There's an old African expression that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think that's so true here. And, when you guys are both talking about getting help, Gene, you foster this community of boards. You've stratified it. So depending on what level of business you're at, you have a board just tailor-made for them to help them grow. Andrew, you have taken all of the knowledge that you and other people in your cohort of leadership have built a Small Business Pro University. Can you talk a little bit about that as we're talking about getting help and how you've architected the Small Business University to provide that help?
Okay, great. And it's more than just getting help, it's getting competent help, because sometimes help isn't always help. It could be hurt. And because a lot of people think they know more than they do. And I'm sure every business owner has run into someone who wants to advise them that is not really the right person to be able to do it effectively. So, just like you asked, what do we look for people in our boards or our entrepreneurial community? Every business owner should look at, okay, who do I need and how are they qualified? And, one of the biggest things is, have they done it? So, one of the things that, I think both Gene and I bring to the table is we've actually had our own businesses. We've learned to live with our own business. We've learned, but we also have the corporate background. So, I've been an employee, a supervisor, a manager, executive, COO, CEO. So that's what the business owner needs to go through. So if someone who's going to teach you how to do that, that's never done it, it's unlikely that they're going to be able to do it well.
They haven't made the journey. How are they going to show you how to get there, right? Yeah.
Right. So, that's part of why I built the university, because of the experience I have and because of the experience of people around me, and really creating a central place where entrepreneurs and business owners can go, where you have content created specifically for small business owners by small business owners and leaders in the space. So not only are they talking about stuff, but they've done it. And that's really what the Small Business Pro University is about. It's a online platform where you can learn at your own pace, in your own way. And we cut it down into bite-sized pieces because, as a business owner, you're busy. You can't sit down for like 3 hours and work on a course, but you could come for chunks of 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes and work through something. And then we keep the courses pretty short so that they're very focused. So you may need, we're working on building over 100 courses, and one of the courses we're building is on commercial leasing. So you can come, if you're about to get a lease, you can come to the course, or you'll be able to come to the course and learn best practices and key things you need to know when you're looking into a lease in a short period of time from an expert. And, that's really what we're looking to provide through the Small Business Pro University. And actually, this week, we're going to continue to launch new courses every week. And this week, we're launching our course that actually Gene and I taught together called Recognizing New Business Trends, and really going to have a chance to talk to you a little bit more about that later, and also make an offer to make it even more accessible to entrepreneurs and business owners.
Absolutely. And I think if I had a magic wand right now, I would wave my wand over the cover of your book, Running Your Small Business Like a Pro, because in the fine print, which you can barely see below where it says like a pro, Andrew has on his book my favorite theme: the more you know, the faster you grow. And it's all about knowledge and knowledge transfer from people that really have credible knowledge to help you accomplish more. And that's what Gene has built a practice around TAB to accomplish, and that's what Andrew, Small Business University, has built to make it easier for all of us to get the knowledge that we need. Can you talk a little bit about trends, Gene, and talk about, the different pieces that we should be paying? Let me say it differently. If there's volatility, uncertainty, chaos, and ambiguity out there, if all of those things are swirling around like a tornado outside our window of our business, what are the things that we should be looking at as trends to help us navigate all of that chaos?
Well, we came up with really trends in 4 basic areas. And we've discussed this for a long time and thought about it, not just thinking, but also from the experience that we've had from all of our coaching clients. And really there's 4 basic categories of trends. They are, first is the home front trend, work front, health and safety, and data. So the first one is the home front, is how this challenge has affected everyone on the home front. And as we know, there's so many things that have changed, from people being home, working from home, staying home for a long time. There's a whole bunch of trends that affect everyone's businesses and also offer potential, right, from those trends. The second one is work front. As we all know, everyone's working from home, or more people are working from home. And when they go to work, the work is different. There's social distancing. There's new policies and procedures that are put in place that have the opportunity for new products and services, right? And not only new products and services, but refining of the old products and services that you have to determine whether they're going to be important going forward. And the third trend is health and safety. People have become very afraid from the virus. And from there, people are more focused on their health and safety than they were before. In addition to all the other cleaning services and all the other services related to the virus, it's also shifted the way we've all thought about these things. And of course, fourth is data. To the extent that we have data, we need to use the data to drive our decision making. So if you have a business and you have 3 product lines and they're in different markets, one might be up because of the new reality, one might be down, and one might be flat. And so you need to use the data. And then there's also the opportunity to provide data to people, to provide information to people that don't have it.
So these are all opportunities for the challenge of COVID presents opportunities. And this is where the theme of thrive, don't just survive, comes from. When you have the awareness and the vision to see the trends and assess those trends based on how they're affecting the customers that you want to serve, or how the infrastructure you have can pivot to provide something that you now see is a need in the marketplace. I mean, a great example of how things change so quickly. Before COVID, say November 2019, Zoom, the platform we're broadcasting from, had 10 million subscribers. In March, they had 300 million, and that number has continued to grow. They had built the infrastructure to be able to provide that service in advance, hoping they would get there, but the acceleration that they arrived there, it took them being prepared to maximize that opportunity. Each of us has similar opportunities. Are we building now to take advantage of the trends we see evolving in the marketplace? Because our competitors, if they're sitting on their hands and they're wringing their hands and waking up at 2 a.m. afraid of what's going to happen, they're not planning on how to take advantage of what's happening. And that's what Andrew and Gene have built, the course that they now have in this Small Business Pro University, to give you insight, to help you understand the intent that's now making their customers pivot toward wellness, right? Toward maybe more therapy because they're scared, whatever the case might be. And whatever you can bring to that marketplace to help them meet those new goals, that's where thriving comes from, not just surviving. And it happens in every cycle where there's chaos, whether it's 9/11 or it's COVID-19. There's always an opportunity that the well-prepared business can maximize the opportunity to optimize their return on their investment.
Yeah, what we did with the course, which was very interesting, is that we went through those 4 categories, and in each category we expounded on all the potentialities of how they could affect a business plus or minus. And we did this on purpose so that when the business owner goes through the course, they can listen closely and get an understanding and try to connect those trends with their own business. Because a lot of times you need to mull over these things. And you also need to have your brain sparked by outside ideas. So there's a lot of ways that people can pivot, right? And one example is a fitness studio who was panicking that they weren't able to get any customers to come to the studio. So what he did is he thought real quickly, oh my gosh, I'm going to make my courses all online. And we had a coaching session with him. It turns out that he didn't lose any of his customers. His customers liked his online sessions. And so what came out of that meeting is, well, why don't you just focus on the online session? You could probably grow that much greater than your physical location. I mean, with your physical location, you're limited to the amount of people who you can come into your facility. But online, you can double it and triple it. So what a panic situation could turn into a tremendous opportunity for somebody, right? And sometimes this needs to be fleshed out. You need to think about it, and you need to have outside ideas given to you. And that's kind of what we did with this course. Is we presented all the ideas in each of those categories to be able to help people connect them to their own business, so they can see maybe, oh my gosh, I could do this with my business. That makes a lot of sense with me. Maybe I should investigate this avenue.
You know, over the course of the weeks and months that Andrew and I have been co-hosting this show, we've often spent a lot of time talking, one, about leadership and how important it is, but how important it is for the leader to pay attention to what's happening to the customer. And now, because all of the customers all over the globe have been like the dishes on the table where the magician snaps the tablecloth and the dishes stay in place. This time the tablecloth was snapped and those dishes went flying. Those dishes are representative of what's happened to our clients, our customers, our prospects.
Right.
And if we don't think creatively now, we miss the opportunity to put them back on the table and in service to them. And there's a thing that comes from corporate. It's called creative self-disruption. And it's the notion that we have to think about who we are, what we've got. If we were a business, the brand called me, and what I have now that in this pandemic, that I can point towards something new and creatively take my strength and apply it to something new. Those that do thrive, some that don't will survive, many that don't do anything, it's just going to be sayonara. And it's unfortunate, but it's just the way of the world. It's the old Darwinism. Before there was VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, chaos, and ambiguity of pandemic, there was digital Darwinism, which is happening at the same time, because prior to the pandemic, you couldn't do telemedicine because the legalese was separating people from enabling to do that. There was security and privacy issues. The pandemic lowered those barriers, and now everybody can do telemedicine. If you are a provider of care, because I know Gene and Andrew have pointed out one of the categories is health and safety. If you can bring some value to the telemedicine segment, you're going to ride the crest of a wave like one of the best surfers on the planet, because that wave is rising. Because now the barriers to using telemedicine have gone, only because of COVID. That playing field is clear. And if you want a piece of that action, you have to find how your expertise and the infrastructure in your business can be applied to satisfy things going on there. But absent having vision and having the confidence as a leader to go make your mark in this new field, you might just be left behind. So now's the time to find a Gene or to align with an Andrew to say, how do I change my narrative to go be in service to something new?
And that's an absolutely great example of the tremendous change that has been forced upon us. And it's so critical that you think about this positively, because it's so easy to think about it negatively. You got to think about it positively, that this is a catalyst for tremendous change. And that catalyst is opening up opportunities really that have never been available before. And so without that attitude, without a positive attitude, you're not gonna see it. I mean, I was just with a client who had a friend down at the shore who had a Chinese takeout restaurant, and his business was up 110% because he embraced the delivery, right? The concept of delivering food quickly when people wanted it. And he admitted to his friend, I'm making so much money, I don't know what to do with. He bought 5 other restaurants.
Oh my gosh.
5 other takeout restaurants along the Jersey Shore because it was so successful. And this is in a time when most restaurants are suffering, right? And this is, I think, such an important key thing to understand. He saw a trend within the industry that he snapped on quickly and was able to become enormously successful when everybody else's sales were down and having trouble, right? And this is possible for anybody in business, right? To think like this.
Yep. Andrew, you've talked a little bit about customers you serve that you've helped them pivot. Can you talk a little bit about some of your experience in that area?
Okay.
That was for you, Andrew.
Me or Gene?
You, Andrew.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So yes, no, definitely seeing a lot of different things happening. And that's part of why Gene and I put the course together, because it's really about seeing those trends. And like Gene mentioned, whenever there's challenges, they create opportunities. And if you don't take advantage of them, someone else will. And the thing that you have to do to take advantage of them is, number one, you have to be proactive. Number two, you have to be creative. And number three, you have to be flexible. And that's really where small businesses have an advantage over larger businesses. So that's really what we focus on, is looking at these trends. What's going on? What are the changing needs, wants, and desires of people, of customers, and how can you satisfy them in a better way than they're being satisfied right now? But you have to get there quickly, and you have to understand their need. And the only way you do that is understand the trends and see where things are going. So, for example, plenty of people that I've worked with and talked to have jumped in and provided PPP, medical supplies, other things, because there's a almost unlimited demand for that right now. So, you can go from zero to a nice number, or from a number to a much nicer number in a short period of time. But that's not the only places it's happening. There's things happening on the home front. What's going on in people's homes, and what are the new problems that they need to be solved at work.
Andrew, can I interject and ask a quick question? And I think, as we're getting to the top of the hour, and we're, I guess, 45 minutes or so into Leadership Live at 8:05, in past episodes, we've talked about SWOT. And for those that want to take away something actionable that they can do to help assess their own business, can you talk about what SWOT is and the value of SWOT as a tool to look inward at your business, that then once you've done SWOT, you can then say, okay, here's what I've got that can go solve those things in the marketplace that are evolving?
Okay. Definitely at all times you have to assess where you are, and even more so in times of crisis and great change. So reevaluating your strengths, reevaluating your weaknesses, relooking at what are the opportunities and what are the threats. But especially when things are moving quickly, I'd like to focus more on the strengths and opportunities, because you have to be flexible and move forward and figure out the direction you're going to move forward. And, at the end of the day, the way to move forward to grow is to match up your strengths, both personal, professional, and business, with the right trends, which will allow you to grow. And that's really what we taught. The recognizing new trends was the first step in a 3-part series of recognizing the trends, creating new revenue streams based on your strengths and combination where they intersect with the trends, and then really assessing if you're prepared to grow. So all 3 of those things together really are what allows you to do it. Gene, would you want to add anything to that?
What I would add to that is that this is a unique time to do this, right? This is a time that it's a historical time. People are going to be talking about this time and 20, 30, 50 years from now, or 100 years from now in the history books, and the people that are going to succeed are the ones that seize the opportunity to identify what trends are affecting their business, and then, as Andrew said, assessing their strengths and their ability to form a strategy around that, and then to actually implement that and see whether they can grow with it. A lot of people are going to come out of this very successfully. Other people are not. So this is going to be dependent really largely upon you and your and your action, right? That's largely what's going to be dependent on.
Is there a best way are there resources that provide me data about what the trends are, or do I just pay attention to CNBC and watch the markets? How are you guys counseling your clientele to scan the marketplace? Is it talking to customers? Is it looking at the market? Is it a collection of all of those things to help you understand what trends, how they're changing and evolving, and where they're going?
Well, I think there's three components to that. I think the first component is to analyze how your business is doing and to look for yourself to see what products or services are selling or not selling. Then, of course, you've got to ask your customers what's happening to them. What are the changes that they're seeing that can affect you? And then on top of that, the third thing is, the larger trends that can affect things. And those larger trends, they can help you anticipate growth, right? So your customer, you're analyzing your business is very near term. That's like what's happening today. Talking to your customers might be giving you information on tomorrow and the next couple of months. And then the macro trends can really help you plan for the future. So you have to do all three.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're all trying to if we had a magic 8-ball, right, that you could ask the question and it would magically give you the answer to all of these questions, that would be wonderful, but we don't. And so we have to do what Gene just described, is really take stock of every opportunity we have to get new data from our customers, be really mindful of getting all the data about what's happening, what's coming in and going out of our business. And then at that high level, looking at even the global perspective, if there's something happening in Barcelona today, because they're maybe a little further evolved in the COVID than we are, might be something that begins happening here 90 days from now. So if you can forecast, this is the old Wayne Gretzky, you skate to where the puck is going to be. And I think as a business owner and a leader of your business, we all have the same responsibility to skate where the puck is going to be. And, there are plenty of businesses that held on to where they were because that was the golden goose. That's what fed them. And they didn't want to let it go, even though the numbers were going down. They figured, well, it's going to come back if I just hold on. And not pivoting when it's time there's a word I love. I probably couldn't spell it, disintermediation. It really means that another company is working in a garage right now to build something that you could have built, and you could have a dozen golden gooses, but you held on to that one and somebody passed you by. And now's the time, like a Formula One race, right? There's somebody that's working on an idea to serve your customers better than you are. Whoever gets there first to the finish line is going to win. And that's why we have the opportunity to, it's almost like we need the heads-up display that a fighter pilot has with all this data, and our ability to parse that data and make sense out of it for our business and the customers we serve is really what helps us either succeed or fall by the wayside. You either win the dogfight or we end up a splot in the ocean because somebody else won that battle. Don't lose. Be
right.
business owner that's alert to the data that's out there available. Be alert to the data that you can gather from your customers, and certainly be alert to all the data that you amass from all the inputs and outputs that are in your business today. I think if those were takeaways that I've heard Gene and Andrew say tonight, they certainly are valid and founded on their experience as business owners over decades of experience. So as we move forward, as we get to the top of the hour, guys, you've talked about case studies. We've talked about this Small Business Pro University. Are you doing any events live where you'll be talking about these kind of things on webinars, or anybody have any activities coming up where we can tune in and get more of the great knowledge that you have about how you support business owners, and where would we get that?
Okay. Well, definitely, you mentioned that I'm going to be doing a workshop tomorrow that's free and open to anybody who's interested. And the workshop is on basically figuring out, are you working on your business, or are you working on it? And how do you figure out from moving from working in to working on it? Because very few business owners ever make that transition. But if you're ever going to grow and create the business that most business owners envision, that's a critical step to being able to make that. So definitely, you're welcome to come join us. You can email the RSVP, and I put a link to that in the Facebook comments section. Want to give a quick shout out. We've got quite a few people here that are joined in. Thanks, Mary, John. We also got Jeanette, Bill, Deborah, for coming out and joining us. And we mentioned the Small Business Pro University at WWSB Pro U, and this is the new class that we launched, taught by Gene Bohensky, and I assisted. And really, it's about recognizing new trends, going into depth on the things that we talked a little bit about tonight, and really being able to see which ones and how they fit your business, and then having a way to, parse through them and figure out which ones are the right ones for you to look at in terms of going forward for your business. So definitely check that out. And, of course, Leadership Live at 8:05, talking small business every Tuesday evening with Art Jones and our special guest this week, Gene Bohensky. So been a good show. Gene, I don't know if you want to share anything additional.
Well, yeah, it was appreciate being on the show. It was great being able to explain about TAB and the business trends to all you guys. My only comment is seize the moment, make it happen for yourselves, and most of all, get help. Get help from people that you can share ideas with, and really act as a sounding board for you and your business. So whatever trends you think you need to go for, that you have the backing of and support of other people that you know and respect. That's really going to help you move forward in these uncertain times.
So Andrew, I think you want to click back to the general Zoom to get to Facebook, because right now I see your entire.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
It's not
okay.
it. It's
okay. I was responding to Facebook.
Well, so. Questions that are in the Facebook stream that we can respond to.
So we've got a lot of comments, not necessarily questions. I think we've covered a lot of things that people wanted to learn about, which is good. And definitely, how do you, we got Gene here. People may want to reach out to you. How can they do that?
You can reach out to me by email. My email is gene@tabnorthernNJ.com. That's the best way to email, to reach out to me.
Okay, excellent. And I did put your LinkedIn profile in the chat.
Yes, that too.
As well as LinkedIn. Arthur, because Arthur's got great expertise at working with business owners to help figure out the story of their business and really dig into what your business is all about and how to communicate it more effectively. And he's helped me with that. I think during one of our sessions, we went back and forth, and I think that's where Small Business Like a Pro came from. Because so definitely it works, and you need to collaborate. That helps you be more more creative, gives you greater perspective and ideas. So so Art's LinkedIn profiles in the chat as well as mine. And, did provide a link to the course, as well as I'm providing a discount code of trends, so that if you're interested in the course, you can get it for 50% off for the next couple of days. So encourage you to do that. We're going to continue to build out the university, and by the end of the year, look forward to having, in excess of 100 courses. Short courses, but important courses for what business owners need to know in order to grow.
Right. I'm working on an ebook that's on brand storytelling that I hope to add to the Small Business Pro curriculum. On LinkedIn at 7 a.m. Pacific time, I'll be on the Pirate broadcast. That's a LinkedIn channel where we'll be talking about brand storytelling and using the design thinking to market better and sell more. That's a half-hour show. I guess that's 10 a.m. Eastern time. But you'll find it on LinkedIn. It's Russ Johns at the Pirate broadcast, and I guest on that show on Thursday morning. So join us there. I think it'll be an interesting conversation. Of course, I love talking about brand storytelling as it relates to marketing and sales.
Excellent. So once again, thanks for joining us. Leadership Live at 8:05 every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. with Andrew Frazier and Art Jones. Looking forward to another great episode and another great guest next week. Thank you, Gene Bohensky, for joining us this evening to talk about how to recognize new trends so that you can be more successful in the current environment and thrive rather than just survive.
And remember, everybody, when you're on Leadership Live at 8:05, we're here because the more you know, the faster you grow.